Honest information about living a healthy lifestyle on RadioMD.com. It's time for Naturally Savvy with natural visionary Andrea Donsky and health journalist Lisa Davis.
I'm Lisa Davis along with Andrea Donsky. We've all had to deal with irrational, impossible people in your life, and we're so glad to be joined once again by Dr. Mark Goulston. He is a former clinical psychiatrist, FBI and police hostage negotiation trainer, UCLA professor of psychiatry, and much more. Hello again, Dr. Goulston.
Well, I'm glad to be back. And we were talking about talking to crazy, but this is a health show, so I'm going to give you a twofer.
Oh, cool. Okay. Go for it.
Be talking to crazy, but also how to stay on a diet, exercise regimen, and fight off relapsing for an addiction. It has to do with crazy people. So
all right, let's do it. Jump right in.
There is research that shows that people who don't like exercising and don't like eating healthily and who are prone to addiction will fall off the wagon when they've just had a close encounter of the worst kind, when they have just dealt with someone who just made them nuts. The last thing they want to do is eat healthily or exercise, and it'll be the kind of thing where they feel like the world has just took a chunk out of them, and before they can get their senses back, they're just going to act in sort of a reactive way and say, well, I'm just going to treat myself. And so here's what you do. It's a 30-day diet exercise program that you add to whatever you're doing. You take out a sheet of paper, you write a line down the middle of it. On the left side, you write down all the people that drain the life out of you, all the people that you hear just the sound of their voice and you get a knot in your stomach, which is actually a fist disguised as a knot. And those are the people that, after you've interacted with them, the last thing you want to do is deprive yourself more. Now, on the right side, list all the people that give you energy, all the people that after you speak to them, you say to yourself, we got to talk again sooner. And then what you do is you make a commitment for 30 days and then for a lifetime to minimize your interactions with the people on the left side. If you read Talking to Crazy, it'll give you a way to do not only minimize them, but then when you're interacting with them to keep them from stressing you out. So that should help you. But spend as much time as you can with the people on the right side. And here's something be careful that you need to do. You got to thank the people on the right side. Because sometimes you get so caught up being frustrated by the people who drive you crazy that you fail to thank the people on the right side. And we were just talking recently about how to be happy. One of the ways to be happy is to give a power thank you every day to someone. And a power thank you is someone on the right side of that list you make, or to people from your past, and it has three parts. You call them, you contact them, you email, and if it's a long time, you say, this is long overdue. The first part, you did this for me at such and such a time in my life. And be very specific as opposed to general, instead of you were there for me. No, you took me into your house when I was having trouble at home. Second part of a power thank you is the effort it took for them to do it. You went out of your way to do that. That was awkward, but you did that. And the third part of a power thank you is what it personally means to you. And when you're saying it, and if you're saying it sincerely, there's a good chance you'll be tearing up with gratitude. And if you follow that scenario, when you took me in to your house when I was having trouble at home, what you don't really know is you saved my life. I was in a bad place. And what will happen is they're not going to guilt trip you, well, why didn't you send this to us earlier? Because they're on the right side of that sheet of paper. And when you do this, what happens is you feel such gratitude inside you that nothing is missing in your life. And when nothing's missing in your life, you don't have to fill it with a bad habit.
You know, Dr. Goulston, is so interesting because there's so many shows about how to stick with your New Year's resolutions and, you know, the whole thing of like, well, you know, call your friend and make sure you keep things out of the house you want to eat. All that stuff is great stuff. But isn't this interesting take, Andrea, really looking at what's keeping us from taking care of ourselves? I've never heard it put this way before. Have you? I find it so fantastic.
No, it is fantastic. And so, you know, I love it because we're all about strategies and solutions for people. And I feel like this is a great solution. And, your book, Dr. Goulston, I think everybody should really have a copy of it. Maybe you could tell everybody again what the book is called and where they could find it.
Well, it's called Talking to Crazy, How to Deal with the Irrational and Impossible People in Your Life. It just came out about a month and a half ago. It seems to be finding its way on bestsellers lists, which is always humbling and gratifying. It's all by word of mouth, and shows like this, by the way. And Just Listen, the secret to getting through to absolutely anyone. And I'm humbled by that because that became the top book on listening in the world.
Wow. Congratulations.
That's amazing.
Well, thank you.
Incredible.
Thank you for listening.
Incredible work.
Yeah, Dr. Goulston, I'm curious about what do we do with the people on the left side of the page, the ones that are driving us bananas?
Good question, Lisa.
Well, that needs more time. But again, if you're declarative, it means they can't get the better of you. Here's something that you say. I'll just give you one tip. If you're a manager and you're having to talk down to a subordinate and they're driving you crazy, it's something I call the Wints Confrontation. It's a little bit like assertive humility, but you wince as opposed to being angry. So you show them the pain in having to have the following conversation. And what you say to them is you take them aside and you say, I'm very close to rooting against you. And that doesn't make much sense. It makes no sense. In fact, I'm not going to have anyone on my team that I don't enthusiastically root for. And the reason I'm close to rooting against you, and then you list specific behaviors. You don't do a character assassination. So the reason I'm close to rooting against you is because you say this and then you do this, or in these situations you do this, and I know you're better than that. And this is an informal conversation. I'm not writing up, but mark my word, you will leave before you become someone I root against. But can you feel the visceral, how you're in that conversation, how you have skin in the game as opposed to saying something that sounds more intellectual?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, no, it's great. We only have maybe, not even 2 minutes left. And I was wondering if you were able to share with us, I don't know how much you can and can't share about your past life, but are you able to share with us an example of a situation where you were able to negotiate in your favor, a situation that occurred? It could be anything really, but just something where you were successful at it and how it happened really quickly in about a minute and a half.
Well, there was one situation, I don't know if this was a negotiation, but I was trying to see a CEO, and he was very busy, and when I was in his office, it's clear he didn't want to see me, but I'm pretty empathic and intuitive, and I said to him, hey there, how much time you got for me? He looked up at me like it was going to throw me out. He said, what? I said, look on your calendar, how much time? He said, 20 minutes. And I looked at him and I said, we're into minute 3, and there's something on your mind much more important than me, and what I have to tell you deserves your undivided attention. You can't give it to me. So let's reschedule this, or you never have to see me again, but take the remaining 16 minutes and take care of what's on your mind. And he looked at me and he teared up and he said, I'm private, and you know something that other people don't know. My wife's having a biopsy, and it looks terrible. And she told me to come to work, but I guess I'm not here. And I said, take care of that. That's more important than this. It's more important than anything. And we'll reschedule it. And then he just kind of shook his shoulders. And he got very centered, and he was a little bit teared up. He said, no. He said, you've got my undivided attention. You've got your full 20 minutes. And after that, we have a lifelong relationship. So what do you think of that?
I think that's pretty awesome. And that's probably why you're amazing at what you do.
He's so good at what he does.
That's awesome. All right. Well, we are out of time today. I mean, really, Lisa and I know we could talk to you forever. So this was great. And we're happy to hear that you will be coming back. So awesome. All right. Dr. Mark Goulston, you can visit his website at goulstongroup.com and heartfeltleadership.com, or follow him on Twitter at Mark Goulston. I'm Andrea Donsky, along with Lisa Davis, and Naturally Savvy Radio on Radio MD. Thanks for listening, everyone. Stay well.